Hi, welcome to Freedom of Speechless. I am Katie Custer, owner here at Mind Over Body in Aurora, Ohio, and practitioner for Spine to Communicate. Find us at mobstrong.com.
I am Melody Rabora, president of Angelo's Angels for Communication Foundation, and you can find us at angelosangels.com.
Awesome. So we are going to talk about mitochondria and some relief to mitochondria. We talked a little bit about mitochondria last week. What was your main takeaways, or what did you want people to hear last week from our podcast?
Yeah, just cellular inflammation. So addressing your overall health at a cellular level, understanding that when your cells are not methylating properly, which means when your cells are not taking the nutrients in that they're supposed to, and they are not detoxifying the way that they are supposed to, then you start to run into issues with your overall health, and looking at how that creates an epigenetic response with your DNA and turning genes on or off.
Awesome. Okay, good. So make sure to visit last week's podcast, like, subscribe, and share both last week and this week.
Yes.
For anybody that you know may need some help with detoxing and de-stressing at the cellular level.
And just a disclaimer, we are not medical professionals. We do not claim to be medical professionals. This is just through research that we've done on our own as mothers, and through speaking with other non-speaking individuals and other healthcare professionals alike.
Absolutely. Hoping that we can lead you to some answers that will lead you to some answers, in your circle. So, just to start, I'm actually going to talk away from the medical field today. And we're going to talk a little bit about, what God has given us right here for free at our disposal to help the vagus nerve, and that's VAGUS, just in case anybody's thinking that
Kate's taking me on a trip to VEGAS.
Yeah, we're not doing that. No, that will absolutely totally stress me out, overstimulate me, and my nerves will be on. Oh, that would be too much for me. I would need a lot of deep breathing at that point for sure. Because the truth is, when you go into an environment like that, most environments in that area, or what people visit, Vegas for, are these indoor, smoky, non real light, no natural,
artificial.
Yeah, everything's artificial around us,
Yeah.
And so we're actually talking about getting out of that. So it's kind of funny that those two coincide a little bit. But the vagus nerve is absolutely the largest nerve from the top of your body to the bottom of your body. And really, because we're speaking about apraxia, and that's really our expertise with non-speaking, it does make a whole lot of sense to become an expert in this area and try to help this as much as possible, because it's the brain and body connection in your nervous system. So a few things, we mentioned the deep breathing in through the nose, just by breathing in through the nose, it brings it all the way down into the lungs. And then out through your mouth as slow as possible. How does Angelo do that?
I coach him.
But
I've been doing
easy? Is it not easy?
I mean, not now.
Tell us your experience with a non-speaking apraxic individual when you simply ask them to just breathe through the nose and out through the mouth. Tell us what is your experience with that?
Well, when I was introduced to the concept of that, he was like 4 years old. And he couldn't. I was like, automatically their response is to blow out.
Right.
And then probably somewhere, I don't know, just keep coaching his body to do it. I would just be like, Ange, take a deep breath through your nose and out through your mouth. And I was probably he was probably somewhere like in middle school when he was able to do it, just me telling him. But I would touch his nose, and I would be like, Angelo, breathe in, breathe in. And I would put my hand up to him and be like, I'm not like suck my hand up your nose. That sounds nuts.
Right.
But
No,
giving him that understanding, like suck my hand up your nose, And now he just does it because we've been working on it since he was 4. He'll be 20. So 16.
Yeah. Right.
Oh my God. Of that.
I know, right?
And it seems like nothing.
It does.
It seems like nothing. And like, what a stupid thing, I guess,
I bet you every single person that I asked to do that, unless, you are a non-speaker listening to this podcast.
You weren't thinking about, wow, there's a lot that goes into this.
That's right.
You're just like,
in other words, like, seriously, you're making me do this? Like, this is so easy. What are we even doing here? Well, the hardest exercise from age 4 to age 20 for a non-speaking,
breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth.
Yes. And so even during motor coaching yesterday, when we were working with motor coaching, it's really intense because they don't breathe when you're working on these sequencing of standing up and sitting down. So, or doing a sit-up or a push-up.
Right.
When we're in the gym and we're doing sit-ups and push-ups, there's a breathing exercise that goes along with that. And that is bringing oxygen to the cells. It's helping ground the cells. It's bringing energy and circulation to the body. And it's really important that we do it. And so I just found that very interesting because we are dealing with mitochondrial issues in our apraxic individuals, right? But are we focusing on breathing? I would love to see more OT and PTs in schools with these younger individuals. And I know there are many that are doing this already, but really focusing on that breathing strategy for these individuals. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. I mean, if we're talking about the vagus nerve controls a lot of involuntary movement, not voluntary.
Right.
So you're not conscious of what your body is doing. But at any level, if that vagus nerve isn't communicating properly to the other body parts, organs in your body, now you're seeing misfiring and, some sort of probably dysregulation at some level as well. So yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, as simple as yesterday or when we were spelling with Josh, he said that, his stomach was bothering him. He said, stomach aches really take a lot out of you. And then he said, I said, what's going on? He said, it's my histamines. It's an internal issue. Mitochondrial has something to do with histamines. It does. And we can get more into that later, but it all circulates what is moving in and what is moving out and how much we're holding and how much we're pushing and what does our gut receive.
Right. Well, I think that like we all walk around all the time and we're like, my allergies, my anxiety, my whatever it is. First of all, we can't claim it. It's not ours. It wasn't actually ingrained into our DNA. God did not make us allergic, anxious.
Hallelujah.
People. Okay. Right. So that's number one, but number two is really just looking at it, getting into the core of the issue is our bodies were not made to be anxious. Our bodies were not made to be allergic. I hear people say like, I cannot eat that. I can't. Yeah. But when you're addressing something at a cellular level and you start to be able to heal the cell and now it's taking in the right things. It's detoxifying the way it's supposed to be. You should no longer have an allergic reaction to anything because now your body is methylating.
Right.
You're not going to have stomach aches. One. And number two, in order to decrease the inflammation in the cell, you have to put into your body foods that aren't firing and fueling the issues that you're dealing with, the allergies, the anxiousness and all that. So just to get, I guess, put some perspective on it, right?
Definitely. And so, when we're dealing with healing that, I have to say, I understand a lot of, that whole process of what you just said, because I was that sick person for a long time. We deal with that condition, PANDAS or PANS, pediatric autoimmune neurological disorder associated with strep, which is a whole nother podcast and probably a month's worth. But that's inflammation. Yeah. It's associated with inflammation. And I tried lots of different things, lots of different diets, lots of different vitamins, lots of different strategies. What I found helped me most is number one, to stay regulated.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, to really get grounded in the earth. And some of the things that I was doing naturally
Right.
was adding to, now what I understand is that vagus nerve support that was allowing my body to tolerate the cold better.
Yeah.
To tolerate different foods better, to have more energy, and to be able to sustain more stress. So these are stay regulated more frequently and more, more consciously.
Right.
So these are all things that people, oh, well, what vitamins are you taking? Because I have tons of energy. Do you know anybody who has more energy than me?
No.
And people, oh, it's the coffee. I have been without coffee.
Yeah, no.
It's not the coffee. I'll just eat chips or something.
Yeah, no, I've known you
since
I was 13 years old.
Yeah. So, and my energy now is very grounded and even, and it's not pulling me up and then pulling me down and pulling me up and then pulling me down. So, and some of that is when I get really overstimulated or stressed out or angry, I resort to outside. And I just go outside and I'll take my deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, look around, get grounded in my surroundings. If I can, I'll take off my shoes. I know that sounds silly, everybody, but that rubber is an insulator. It's going to stop the natural electrons that the Lord put in the earth to help our mitochondria and our vagus nerve actually stimulate and fire. So it's that we have an electrical system running through our body. And if we don't even have the proper wire for our television, or one tiny little wire inside that big cord is kinked, or the whole TV doesn't work.
Right.
We're done. I mean, it doesn't mean, we don't get to have half of a picture. It's done.
Right.
So we have to start looking at our body as, do we need electrolytes? Do we need electrons? Do we need the sunlight, not just for vitamin D that we can take in a pill?
Yeah.
Like, oh, just take a vitamin D pill.
Right.
But it hits our nucleus.
Yep.
That hits our...
Right. And I want to address the fact that it doesn't matter how much you consume. When there's inflammation at a cellular level, your body's not absorbing it anyway.
Right. No.
So you have to get to that you have to target that point.
Right.
Grounding, is a way to de-stress. It's a way for your body to stop engaging in a loop, behavior, whatever you want to call it, and be able to do what it's supposed to be doing on the external, We're supposed to be grounding. We're supposed to be connecting with God, the Father, the Creator. We're supposed to have that lifeline. Go outside, get some oxygen, get some sunlight, which is vitamin D, natural vitamin D. And if you can, I guess is what I'm saying is, you can take in all the consumable vitamins but they're out there. Like, God already has them out there for us.
Right.
And then, okay, then you're eating your ice cream sundae, and I'm guilty. Like, we're all guilty, right? Like, that's why we're here today. Yeah. We're eating our ice cream sundaes. We're eating our, fried mozzarella sticks. We're going to go, get the donuts and Dunkin' Donuts and the sugared latte and take our vitamins.
I know.
It's not working anyway because your body can't even absorb it.
No.
But anyways.
But let's get into some of the things that we can do, because I think we're starting to feel defeated in life. And I think that we can do some natural things that are a little bit more encouraging. Yeah. It's hard to get rid of everything and the sugar and the choices, and we're busy people, right? So we can take a step into a few different areas. So number one, we said breath work. We started there. Just really being conscious of our breath. Number two, walking outside, getting grounded.
Getting in tune with the nature, God's creation.
100%. Which
God
would be
himself,
like forest bathing. That's kind of what that's called. Walking into that forest area and allowing the photosynthesis. There's like bio mechanics going on around us that engage with our system. And we can take advantage of that
Yes.
just by going outside
Yes.
and taking our child outside.
Yes.
You know, if we are talking about apraxic individuals now
Mhm,
and going back into freedom for the speechless, let's get to it.
Mm-hmm.
When's the last time we took our children outside when they were having a meltdown?
Mm-hmm. Right.
When they needed an input?
Mm-hmm.
When they weren't tolerating a food?
Mm-hmm.
When they were having stomach issues?
Mm-hmm.
When is the last time we worked on breath work, which we just kind of spoke
Right.
about, when we're seeing these behaviors?
Yeah.
Well, maybe means to go.
Right. There's a release that needs to happen. That's why the
Sure.
tension is happening.
Yeah. So, you know, so those are some of the just really easy things that we can be doing for our children
Mm-hmm.
with apraxia. What are some, I know there's one thing I can think of right away in the summer that you do with Angelo. Every summer, you've made sure to accommodate this at your home.
Yes. Yes.
For him.
Yes.
Because you know
Mhm.
this helps with his mitochondrial. You know you've seen a difference with him because of it. Tell us a little bit about that.
So when COVID happened, actually, is what triggered us to put an permanent above ground pool in our backyard. And then, you know, you want to talk about neurotoxins and whatnot, you know, I keep going back to it. You know, you have like chlorine in the public pools and, you know, all the germs and all that. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So we got a pool that is an oxygen pool. It is hydrogen peroxide. So there are no chemicals. It is probably the cleanest you can get.
Nice.
And so we have a pool in our backyard and we make sure every single day, 2-3 hours we're out there, and I make them walk back and forth. And, you know, we have a lot of inflammatory issues that we're trying to address with Angelo right now, particularly with Achilles tendonitis and plantar fasciitis. So for him to work out outside of water hurts him.
Yes.
So in the summer, we get him in there. We're moving all around. He's getting vitamin D. We're getting physical exercise. We're getting oxygen. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love this story. Mainly what you just said brought this to my mind. And if it brings offense to people, that's okay, because this is freedom for the speechless. And I'm knowing that non-speakers are ready to say this. There's no excuse.
No.
There's no excuse. He cannot walk and exercise on his feet without water. So you found him water.
Yeah.
Now, not everybody's going to be able to put a swimming pool in their backyard. No. I understand. That's now somebody's saying that in their head. I'm going to break that off right now in the name of Jesus. We're not going to have that excuse.
Right.
There's no excuse. Find it. Call us. We'll help you plug into a local, you know, facility. We will figure out a place. I mean, it's very crucial. Now, that doesn't mean it's swimming pool every time. Maybe it's, you know, going out in the woods and you're in the big city and there's no woods around, you know.
Right. Well,
you know, but there's always a way.
Right.
There's always a way.
Right. Right.
And we just have to find that way, because these are things that are easy, they're free, and they're harmless to our children. Whereas we could be pumping them with those vitamins, like you said, and they're not receiving them because they're full of toxins.
Right.
So, you know, sometimes we really just have to let our body start to circulate these things naturally. And I do think that we will spend some time on that vagus nerve coming up here in one of the next podcasts, because I think that's a very big section. And then we'll lead you to different places that you can kind of really get into more study with it, because it is just so big. But yeah, I think that, you know, those very easy input, earthy things. And I'm not just talking about playing with Play-Doh, you know, and getting input or putting yourself in a rice bin. We are talking about actual electrons.
Right. Well, I mean,
phototherapy. These are things that are real things that they actually emulates vitamins that we put in a pill. They emulate off of these natural things that we can walk outside and receive by taking our shoes off, making sure we're not on ground that's been painted, you know, and just being conscious of habits we may already do.
Yeah. And, you know, when we were living in Florida, Angelo loves the beach, getting his feet in the sand. He loves the waves, the salt water, like loves it. He's so calm. When I touch my son, I always feel like he's tense. But we're on the beach, it's like he's He's not tense. He's not anxious. He's just chilling. He's letting the waves wash over him. He's laughing. They're blowing him everywhere. So it's just being mindful. I know we live in Cleveland, Ohio. I don't know where everybody else lives, but just, some people are able to get outdoors and do it a lot more than here in Cleveland, Ohio.
And our beaches,
are not the greatest.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not. But, humming. So a lot of our apraxic individuals hum. Do you know that's a vagus nerve stimulator? And it helps our now I'm going to
parasympathetic.
Thank you. I was going to say
I knew what you meant.
Thank
I
you.
knew what you meant.
I was losing my word process there. That's why we're good together.
Yes.
We finish each other's words all the time. And that helps that system be able to handle noise. So, a lot of the times we're like, stop humming or don't do that.
Right.
And really it's building their, parasympathetic system.
And that goes back to previous podcasts, stimming versus looping. So go check that out.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. The circadian rhythms. That's another one.
Yeah.
A lot of the times they're not sleeping properly at night. That's that circadian rhythm. That is that 24-hour sunrise to sunset rhythm that our body is set to work off of.
Yeah.
Seasonal eating. Yeah. How about that?
Yes.
I don't do it. I do not. We should, because we do live in Ohio. We might not have beaches, but we definitely have farms.
Yeah.
We were talking about going and getting healthy and good meat.
Yeah.
Just earlier. Straight from the farms. Awesome. Hallelujah. And, same thing with the vegetables. We need to be eating seasonally because that helps our body in that circadian rhythm. Hot and cold showers. Like I used to say, I would never dip. How about you? Would you dip in a cold bath? One of those, cryo freezing.
Cryo.
Cry me a river. Cause that's what I'd be doing. Go on.
I would, if I feel like, oh God, it would be so painful. But I feel like a lot of people say like you feel the difference in your body when you have
it's the parasympathetic. It is
hot springs.
It is. That's the same thing.
We have a lot of springs here in Ohio. Natural springs here in Ohio.
Asana. Do you know asana would be good for the mitochondria?
Yeah.
For our non-speakers, asana or these cry me a rivers. And that's actually good because if you get into a river, they are freezing cold. So
we have a lot of natural springs, hot springs and cold springs here.
Totally.
I mean, you just gotta get your brain, moving and thinking about where do I live? Yeah. Right. Where do I live? And what environmental,
stimulation
can I get?
Yes. Yeah. And input, that the Lord has put right in front of us. So with that being said, I think we said a lot today. There's a lot of really great podcasts out there that are beyond us that doctors have put out there on your mitochondrial, how to get some good earth practice. I'd say making sure you're meditating on the Lord always, because the Lord is who made this good earth. So there's always that fine line there. But it is all about getting set, getting ready for the next level of where your body needs to go. Not taking your body there first before it's ready to approach that next healthy kick.
Right.
Yeah. And vitamins and this and that and exercise. Let's go. We're going to go lift all this weight. And now we have pulled muscles and we can't lift for 2 weeks. We have got to go from the core out.
Right. And that's what I was saying when I was saying last week when I had shared with the audience that I was talking with you. And I was like, I got to get rid of everything in my house. Now it's all got to go.
Right.
And it's like, that's just not reality.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to get the healthier food options first, go step by step. And then it'll be a lifestyle eventually. But it took you a lifetime, like I said last week, for us to get where we're at.
Right.
And it's going to take us, a little bit of a time to be able to get into having those healthier options involved in our life,
That's it.
And I just want to say, we're talking about worshiping God, the creator.
Yeah.
And taking advantage of his creation. There's a difference. We're not talking about worshiping the creation. I want to make that very clear.
Absolutely.
Very, very clear. There's a lot of things God created for us to take advantage of to heal our bodies and get in tuned and connect with him. So there's a very fine, fine line there. And I want to make that clear.
Yes. And, and I'll say,
make that
on
clear.
that note, I was looking at the trees today
Mhm.
and I was seeing some of the flowers bloom. And I was like, the Lord made those trees to help us breathe.
Yeah.
That's how we get oxygen.
Right.
Right. So
we give up carbon dioxide, they take it in. We give off, they give off oxygen and they take in our carbon dioxide.
That's it. And we take it in. So, that is just that good Lord giving to his creation what they need on both ends. And I love that. So great point on that. Last week, you'll learn what to take out of your system to help your mitochondrial. This week, you hopefully have learned what to naturally put inside your system to help your mitochondrial. And we're hoping to just bring a few answers to, our non-speakers and the insides of their bodies, one little nerve ending
just
at a time.
Just keep bringing you answers and giving you more and more resources.
That's right. So until next week, everybody, God bless.
God bless.